Hi, I'm Rithika. I'm a data scientist here at Pave.
And I'm Matt. I'm the founder of Pave.
And today we're going to be answering your compensation questions from all around the internet. How big should a total rewards team be?
I'll give you an outlier in one direction. I was at a dinner a couple months ago in Salt Lake, and I met a compensation leader. Her company had over 10,000 people, and she was the only comp team member. So I've seen outliers in that direction. But if you look at the medians in the data, generally speaking, we see roughly 300 or so employees per total rewards team member. It does scale a bit as companies get larger. It might creep beyond 400, but there is a pretty wide spread. So I don't think there's one right or wrong answer.
Our next question. This one comes from a customer who reached out to us through email. How does spans of control vary by function at tech companies?
Well, it definitely depends by the job family, but we see the highest spans of control in customer support, and we see the lowest, generally speaking, in marketing, and the other job functions are somewhere in between. But I would say consistent across all job functions, we are seeing an increase in spans of control over time as org charts get more loaded.
Our next question, this one comes from a comment on one of your LinkedIn posts. How many employees receive equity refreshes, and how has this changed over time?
Well, I'll start with the trend. Over time, we are seeing, in general, an increase towards more pay for performance. And what that means in this context is that companies are being more selective about who receives the equity. And so a median performer isn't just going to get equity these days for surviving at your company. And what that means is that companies are giving even more disproportionately higher grants in the refresh or the ongoing context to these top performers.
Agreed. I think when thinking about your refresh program, the levers to think about beyond performance are like level, family, location. This question comes from our email community. What are the most common eligibility rules for new hire equity, and how do companies differentiate that?
I think for new hire equity, there's three key dimensions in the world of eligibility or participation, and those are job family, job level, and job location. What I would also add is that for ongoing or refresh grants, performance is another key dimension or lever that a lot of companies are thinking about more strategically these days.
How do you, Pave, interact with legacy comp providers?
In the short, I'd say we view ourselves as Switzerland, and we actively encourage everyone to triangulate. And so to take a step back, we of course take great pride in our real-time market data that we've been spending years to build. We have 9,000 clients, but every data set has its pros and its cons. And so some traditional surveys might be more, robust in certain regions or certain specialties of the labor market. And so this is what I mean. We actively encourage clients to do what is best for them. And so if they're using Pave real-time data, but also looking at Radford, Mercer, Willis Towers Watson, Kroner, Korn Ferry, Xeron, the list goes on, we encourage them, bring them into Pave, bring them into the Pave market pricing tool, because that is the real power when you can see all the different data sets in one place and then come up with the logic for which ones to use and at which proportions.
This one comes from a customer conference. Do you think companies need an AI transformation team to make an impact?
In short, yes. I think that just saying, our company uses AI is an oversimplification. Just saying, I use ChatGPT, I am an AI power user is not quite true. And that's just the first layer of the onion, and you need to really keep peeling the layers back because there's so much you need to do at a company to set up all the connectors, to create the right way to share skills across a company, to set up the right workflows for internal apps and vibe coding. And so what that means is you need someone technical, especially in the world of security, because a lot of this is about data security and data compliance. And so that's why I do believe you need a centralized team to ensure that a company is adopting the latest and doing it in a safe way. But that does not erase the need for a broader cultural movement that comes from the CEO, comes from the leadership team, and really is a grassroots effort. So yes, you do need an AI transformation team, in my opinion, and it's the hottest net new job in the Pave data set, but you also need this cultural tailwind for AI to really work.
This next question comes from Reddit. How do you determine the market standard compensation for a job? How do I know how much I'm supposed to be paid?
Well, compensation is interesting because it's a mixture of science and art. And so I always advise companies to start with the science and then layer in that artistic judgment over time. And so what I mean by the science is you want to come up with a philosophy, and then you want to find data that fits into that philosophy. And so, if you're a young company, you might say, hey, we benchmark ourselves against these peers, maybe a specific peer group or, a certain capital raised or revenue bucket. And then go get the best available real-time data and then say we pay at this percentile of the market. And that can vary based off which job family you're talking about. A lot of clients might pay a higher percentile for technical talent, for instance, versus the rest. And then you get the data, you layer on top of this philosophy, and this is where the artistic judgment comes into play. It's not enough to just say, oh, we precisely pay at this number. You need to combine it with your internal intelligence. What are you seeing on the front lines? What are offer letters doing? And why are employees leaving? Is it about comp? And if so, use that to update your ongoing strategy.
Well, Matt, this has been fun. And to our audience, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for submitting your questions to our LinkedIn, to email, and all over the internet. Feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer more of your questions soon.
Thanks for helping us build our community. We look forward to hearing from you soon.